an urban space operating almost spontaneously where public authority has withdrawn from its role of control. Here exists one of the most dangerous cities in the world, Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince, an open environment fragmented by armed gangs, underground elite networks, and far-reaching external influences. Within the capital alone, more than 200 armed gangs are active. In the current context, many militia groups have gathered under the leadership of a man known by the nickname Barbecue, who is infamous for extreme methods of repression, including the burning alive of opponents. These forces have unified under a common name, Vivre Ensemble, meaning living together, as a declaration of cohesion among gangs that were previously fragmented. And today, events continue to lead us to temporary camps for civilians forced to abandon their homes in order to flee gang violence, as well as to neighborhoods that have been heavily devastated. In parallel resistance forces emerge individuals who have chosen to unite into an organized group to confront and push back against the reality now engulfing the city. This is the resistance of the local population. Many civilians have been forced to take up weapons to protect their own neighborhoods. Their efforts to defend themselves have been pushed to a higher level. Next, we will meet a gang leader. Each frame reveals a slice of the story of a nation that has collapsed, where people continue their struggle to survive. That struggle for survival unfolds on the very land they call home. The journey begins on an island shared by two nations. One half bears the image of paradise, while the other is consumed by hell. On the other side of the border, the Dominican Republic lives in stability and prosperity, while Haiti sinks deep into prolonged conflict. The capital, Port-au-Prince, is the next destination. From the airport, the route leads directly to the Hotel District, one of the few remaining areas where government buildings, police stations, and accommodations for foreigners are still concentrated. This area sits on a high hill, completely separated from the rest of the city. This hotel is considered among the most luxurious in the country, with reinforced gates and a heavily guarded security presence. Beyond those security fences lies a different world, chaotic and unpredictable. From this elevated position, the entire city of Port-au-Prince comes into view, exposing a nation that once defeated colonialism but has since fallen into a prolonged spiral of disorder. And the journey continues toward the refugee camps, where people who were forced to abandon their homes to escape gang gunfire have gathered. Such camps are appearing in increasing numbers. They are only meant to be temporary shelters. However, no one can determine how long this period will last, as many have already been living there for more than 9 months. Within these makeshift conditions, residents have formed their own small markets to sustain their daily livelihoods. These people were once local residents compelled to leave their neighborhoods after gangs set their homes on fire. Their houses still exist, but returning is impossible. About a month ago, gangs allowed residents to go back, yet by then, the entire area had been severely devastated. The departure from their homes happened in helplessness, and no one knows when they will truly be able to return. They have become refugees. This is a country that has been almost forgotten by the world. 6 people live in this tent under extremely harsh conditions. Every time it rains daily, living conditions become even worse. The presence of government authorities is hardly visible. Across the country, around 500,000 people have been forcibly displaced, stretching from urban centers to rural areas, and this was once their home. A nation that was once a symbol of freedom is now associated with constant fear. This woman lives beneath a vehicle. She once lived in the city center of Puerto Rico until gangs took over the entire neighborhood, forcing her to live here. These areas are filled with open sewers and poor sanitation, reflecting a life that no longer resembles human dignity. The journey continues into neighborhoods that have been completely destroyed by gangs. Homes lie in ruins, entire residential areas have been abandoned, and no residents remain. What appears before us resembles a battlefield. It was from these once bustling streets that people were forced to flee in search of refuge in displacement camps. Traces of violence are everywhere, from houses riddled with gunfire to bullet marks still etched into the walls. Amid the devastation are chilling discoveries such as a human skull lying exposed like this, or a truck that was bombed and overturned in the middle of the road, standing as evidence of the extreme brutality that unfolded here. In the past, burnings alive took place in this very area. The gangs have since withdrawn, but the landscape left behind still bears the appearance of a place that has just endured heavy bombardment. At present, gangs have taken full control of the seaport and established bases there. We will go there at the end of the video. Stay with us and continue following this journey. An abandoned school stands isolated in the midst of the conflict zone, becoming a remnant of the prolonged confrontation between gangs and the authorities. Many reinforced gates have been erected, indicating that certain residential areas have been completely sealed off to prevent the infiltration of armed groups. Along the roads, unusually high speed bumps have been constructed designed to slow vehicles in situations where kidnappings may occur. Next is an area controlled by resistance forces. These are civilians carrying weapons with the aim of protecting the very neighborhoods in which they live. This area was once threatened with forced evacuation, but those who remained refused to abandon their homes despite facing constant pressure from gangs. An armored vehicle appearing here originates from Kenya. Kenyan forces have reached an agreement with the United Nations to deploy to this area in support of stabilizing the situation. They traveled a long distance from Africa with the aim of improving their role and image within the international community. Most surrounding residential areas are under the control of gangs. The city is fragmented into separate zones with boundaries that resemble the borders dividing hostile nations. Each gang attack leaves severe consequences with numerous fatalities and widespread sexual violence, including against children. Faced with this reality, local residents, members of the very communities affected, have chosen to unite and form a resistance force. They fight not for power, but to preserve the place they call home. At this moment, the area is under the control of the resistance forces, and wearing their clothing represents a line between life and death. Entering gang territory in this uniform would almost certainly result in death. This force defines itself as a self-appointed police presence existing within the power vacuum left by the state. Ordinary people, here mechanics, farmers, fathers, have chosen to stand up and protect their neighborhoods. This is a form of resistance rooted in a deep-seated culture of defiance embedded in daily life. Control of the area is maintained continuously without interruption both day and night. Presence is sustained not through large collective formations, but through strict coordination and complete secrecy. This area is designated as inviolable territory where no attack can be tolerated. Their control over the hill remains absolute. The resistance forces have established checkpoints to detect and detain any gang members attempting to infiltrate. This is one of their checkpoints. Here, resistance members demand identification documents and conduct searches of those passing through. Although they are not an official force, they maintain full control of the area. If a gang member is identified, the individual is handed over to the police station. Inspections focus on whether weapons are being carried. A man who was just stopped, his face covered in blood, says he was assaulted by a group of thugs while passing through the area. In the current reality, gangs do not only control territory, but also hold fuel supplies, electricity and water system seaports, and even some airports within their spheres of influence. The question then arises, how did Haiti fall into this situation? To understand it clearly, it is necessary to look back at an earlier period. Before gaining independence, Haiti was known as Saint-Domingue, one of France's wealthiest colonies. The prosperity derived from sugar and coffee was built on a foundation of exploitation and the enslavement of hundreds of thousands of Africans. In 1804, after a bloody revolution, this land became the first independent black nation in modern history. However, that achievement did not bring forgiveness from France. Instead, it triggered a chain of consequences that continues to this day. In 1825, a fleet was dispatched and the so-called independence debt was imposed, forcing Haiti to compensate for the losses that French slave owners claimed to have suffered. This financial burden strangled Haiti's economy for more than 120 years, draining a state that had just emerged from a struggle for freedom. By 1915, the United States launched an invasion under the pretext of restoring order, took control of the banking system, seized gold reserves, and left behind a deeply corrupt power structure. In 2010, a catastrophic earthquake leveled much of the capital, claimed the lives of more than 200,000 people, and once again plunged the country into chaos. From the rubble, gangs gradually emerged, filling the vacuum left by a collapsed state. By 2021, the president was assassinated. The government fell, the police lost control, and the population was left completely abandoned. Accessing gang areas is far from simple. Central Port-au-Prince has fallen under their control, forcing movement to be carried out by public buses. Private vehicles passing through risk immediate attack. Yellow buses packed with passengers have become the only means capable of navigating through gang-controlled neighborhoods. Disguise is mandatory to avoid drawing attention. Outside armed men appear sporadically, creating an atmosphere of constant tension. At present, the gangs have unified under a single name. Previously known as G9, this alliance is led by a man named Jimmy, nicknamed Barbecue. He was once a police officer before turning against the system and taking up arms in opposition. The alliance controls much of the city, with its influence believed to extend across most of the urban territory. Many residential areas have been completely abandoned, becoming buffer zones for armed activity. Barbecue does not operate alone, but is part of a broader coalition that brings together multiple gang leaders. Certain locations are secretly chosen for brief meetings in a context where everyone is fully aware of the identities of those at the top. Notably, many gang members today are very young, joining out of fear or the need to survive. Reality shows that gangs have surpassed the government in terms of power. Tens of thousands of young men possess firearms, while there is no clear roadmap or concrete proposal to address their future. Even the leaders themselves are aware that they may one day have to pay a price if justice is ever established. Yet the question remains when children barely in their teenage years are already being drawn into the cycle of violence. Rampant police corruption only makes the situation worse. Weapons and ammunition are leaked from within law enforcement itself, sometimes concealed under the guise of crackdown operations. A single box of ammunition can be purchased for thousands of US dollars. In this context, gangs continue to commit countless crimes while society remains trapped in a vicious cycle with no visible way out. The gangs have carried out numerous serious crimes. Acts such as burning bodies, kidnapping, and murder are openly acknowledged. Yet fatigue has also emerged within their ranks after long periods immersed in violence. For many years, political forces have exploited these gangs as tools against one another, with each side using them to serve its own interests. Comparisons are drawn when looking at El Salvador, where an effectively functioning government exists and is capable of imposing order. Their harsh crackdowns on gangs, including within prisons, are seen as necessary measures to create a dominant force and bring the situation under control. The actions of President Nayib Bukele are considered tough but have produced clear results. By contrast, this has not happened in Haiti. The authorities are believed to have interests closely tied to the existence of gangs, allowing the cycle of violence to continue. In this context, gang leaders appear relaxed and confident as they control the entire coastline. Carrying weapons is viewed as a condition for survival in the current reality. From there, the journey continues toward the sea, opening for the first time a view of the vast coastline. Seaside villas now lie under gang control, becoming their private domains. The open space conveys a sense of absolute freedom, with the ocean stretching endlessly ahead. Leaving the controlled area brings a sense of relief. Haiti appears as a land that once freed itself from slavery very early in history, yet to this day continues to struggle to preserve that freedom. Haiti is not just a point on the map, but a mirror reflecting what happens when a nation is abandoned for too long. Amid ruins, violence, and a vacuum of power, there are still people struggling to survive, to protect their communities, and to hold on to a fragile concept called freedom. This story does not end here. It continues every day, every hour, in silence and in blood. If this video helped you understand more or made you think, please leave a like to show your support. Subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next journeys, where the truth is not always easy to watch but needs to be seen. Share this video if you believe stories like Haiti deserve to be heard more widely.